So with this, we come to the last session for the day. So this is Agile Networking Day session. We have Abhigya Pokhrel from Nepal. She is a program manager at Ensel. She is going to speak about adaptation and agility in the time of crisis. Before we begin the session, let me thank Agile Network India founding sponsor, Innovation Roots. Innovation Roots is a leading consulting and training service provider helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers of niche publishing services and well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. For more details about Innovation Roots, request you to visit website www.innovationroots.com. Do's and don'ts, by now you must be aware of it. Please join 5 minutes earlier, use high quality speaker and headphones. Please keep your microphones muted and video disabled as it may cause disturbance and bandwidth issue. Questions will be taken via chat box, and at the end of the session, facilitator or moderator will help to read out. Please fill the feedback form after the event to help us understand more about the event management. We appreciate your cooperation. With this, I would like to welcome Abhigya. Abhigya, over to you. I'm making you a presenter.
So we live in a VUCA world. We live in a world that's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So we've already seen that as well. Like I also just ran into a crisis. So we face challenges every day, and we respond to them accordingly. And just a minute. Yeah, and COVID is also one of the crises that we are going through as of now. The entire world has been suffering from this crisis, and the impact that this has brought is very big. We've never heard of lockdowns in the past, but now we are like we've had like a couple of lockdowns, 1, 2, 3 lockdowns. We are used to having running our virtual offices. We see that the kids, they are doing their virtual schools. Social distancing is a new norm now, and we've seen that economics are on the verge of collapse. Some organizations are doing good, but at the same time, there are organizations who are having a very difficult time sustaining their business. So thriving is even far behind, but sustaining is again a challenge for them. So this is how the entire world has been impacted, and we're looking for we're looking for some best practices as well, and we're looking for some leadership who could come and take us out of this this crisis. Um, I'll talk about the top risk that we are seeing in India and in developing markets. So we see that this recent pandemic and inflation are considered to be the top risks for domestic growth. Not only, I would not only give an example of the COVID-19 because we've already faced that, but I was surprised when a few days back I went to buy some lemons from the market, and when the shopkeeper told me that one lemon cost me 20 rupees. So 20 rupees, Nepalese rupees, is equivalent to some 14 INR, the Indian rupees. So if one lemon costs you 14 rupees, just imagine the level of inflation that we are seeing these days. Again, like when you talk about inflation and economic crisis, we can take an example from Sri Lanka as well. So they are also in deep economic crisis with with they're seeing a crippling power crisis, power cutoff for 12 hours a day. A packet of rice, which used to cost like 50 or 80 rupees, is now costing them 200 or 250 rupees. So that's the ratio how this inflation is going up, and it's a it's becoming a challenge for developing markets like us. So at the same time, when we talk about all these challenges, I have a question of thought. Are we, or are the SMEs, small medium enterprise, aware about the challenges that we are facing, or the bigger challenges that would be coming up in future? So how would we prevent large industry giants from becoming an inefficient monopoly? So that's a question of thought. Again, the pandemic could be even worse, right? But at the same time, how would we address the socio-economic inequality between the people living in the rural areas and the people living in the urban areas? Also, the people who are highly educated, who are highly skilled, versus the people who are living in poverty, who are less educated, and who are in the low income group. So how do we address these challenges? So that's a question, maybe that's there in all of our minds. So what we are going through now is a major crisis, a shock, a state of shock, and we are definitely looking for some best practices that we could implement at our end, be it at our organization or be it at our individual levels, to make things better, to respond in a better manner. So maybe we can take some examples from organizations which are already doing good. I'll talk about the examples with live examples in the slides that will be coming. But yeah, we're certainly looking for some best practices, and we're looking for a strong leadership that could rightfully respond to the kind of change that we are looking for. And we are definitely going through a post-crisis crisis. So yeah, some organizations are doing good in this situation as well. We've seen that the need of digitization, which was not there earlier so much, now it's there. Like, so we've seen that some industries who are doing have even done better. Like they've done the work in better ways to thrive their business. But there are few of them who are even having a very bad time sustaining to what they had earlier. And what is important, I think, what is important in this time of in this time of our is the decision making capabilities. So it's very important that we make the right decision, the right choice at the right time, because it is only then that that would give us the opportunity to unlock various opportunities. I've taken this example, which I'll be talking about from the book Thinking Fast and Slow, written by Daniel Kahneman. So he's talked about, he's a behavioral scientist and a Nobel Prize winner, and he's talked about the system. Okay, so here he has talked about the two types of systems that our brain uses while making decisions, and the one of them is the emotional one, which is fast, which is instinct, which responds to certain queries automatically in a very stimulus manner. The other one is more rational. It's more analytical. It's slow. It's time taking. It takes some complex decisions. So what I'm talking about here is I'll give you a small example with this where you can test your own um, the way that your brain would function. Is it more on the emotional side, or is it more on the rational side? So, I give you a question saying that a bottle of Coke and biscuit costs you 110 rupees, and Coke costs you rupees 100 more than the biscuit. So you need to tell me now, how much does the biscuit cost you? So if you get the question again, Coke and biscuit costs you 110 rupees. Coke costs you 100 rupees more than the biscuit. So how much does the biscuit cost? So can I get some answers from the audience without taking much time? This is where you test your, the decision-making capabilities of your brain, whether it's on the emotional side or the rational side. So any answers from the audience? Anyone? Or maybe from Prashant, from you? 10. Okay, Jeff, thank you for the answer. But that's the wrong answer. Yeah. 9. That's again the wrong answer. That's again the wrong answer. Okay, so I'll tell you like why we think that it is 10, because people who say that the answer is 10, we see that their brains, they act more on the emotional side, because 110 and like Coke and biscuit costing you 110 rupees and Coke costing you 100 rupees, so we always think that it's 10, but the answer is 5. So it's a simple mathematics, and that's how you do your mathematics. And some people get it correct, like some people get the answer as 5 on the first go as well. So people who would be getting this answer correct in the first go, their brains is acting more on the rational side. So people who said 10, your brain is more on the emotional side. People who said it's 5, your brain works more on the rational side. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's all about knowing your biases, right? It's all about it's a key, it's a habit, and it's all about knowing your biases and improving your decision making capabilities. So how do you improve your decision making capabilities now then? So now you've known your biases, you need to try to understand and balance them. Second, you decide, you make up your mind, and then you answer, then you make your decision. So, but again, there should be a time window for it. There might be some times where you need to act very spontaneously. So, in that case, you might not be taking a very long time window. But again, like knowing your biases and knowing the time window that you can allocate for any particular situation that you are in, you can decide. And for that, you could learn few quick techniques to eliminate uncertainties. So if you read the book also, that is also going to help you. And you practice yourself, you put yourself in real life scenarios with uncertainties, and then critically evaluate your hypothesis and see where you stand. So I think by doing all these steps, maybe you could improve on your decision making capabilities. Yeah. So let's talk about what decisions that organizations made or they are making, um, while they are going through the era of crisis. Then, well, there was a need, there was a need to adapt to change. There was a need to act quickly prior to having this COVID-19 pandemic as well. But with COVID-19, this need has been amplified. So again, like I said, like the need for digitization might not have been there earlier, as much as it is now with the onset of pandemic 19. So, so it's all about things being there in the past, but the need being more amplified now. And we see that now we are more, we're more, we rely more on omni-channel initiatives. We rely more on online buying. We rely in picking up from stores. So for same day delivery, for virtual appointments. So all these things has been possible, and it has been very common with the onset of the COVID-19. Taking an example of Isanova, so it's an Italian startup company. They used to make snorkeling masks prior to COVID-19, but with COVID-19, they have acted. They've shown great agility, and they started producing ventilator masks in no time. So this is a good example of how your business strategy could change overnight, and how your market needs could be addressed in the way that the change is required. So that was one example from Isnova. The another example is from Amazon. Amazon, they changed is their focus of distribution to essential items. So we get our grocery items from Amazon now, which wasn't there earlier. And with this, they have seen that their sales and profit has been rose by 30% since February 2020. So it's all about showing great agility and pivoting quickly with a flexible mindset. And what is the result of these things then now? What is the result now? What do we see? We see a massive acceleration in agile adoptions. We see that the need for teams to collaborate is more. And Agile has certainly enabled IT and development team to come up together. We do our meetings virtually. We do not show up in person, but still our business is running smoothly. So we've seen that we've seen that even though there is this crisis, we have been able to come out of it in terms of collaboration and in terms of sustaining or thriving our business. So, if you look at the figures, um, um, uh, there has been a massive agile adoption in the software industries. So, which was earlier 37% is now 84%. In IT sector as well, from 26% they have gone to 60%. But it's not only limited to IT or software industries, but the same has been witnessed in finance, HR, and other domains as well, where the agile adoption has been doubled. So the need for speed would always be there. It would not be temporary, and with digitization, artificial intelligence, and machine learnings being there, we need to continue to accelerate the speed even more. So yes, change is inevitable, and Charles Darwin said this famous quote: "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent ones that survives, but it's the one that's most adaptable to change." Yes, we need change, and that's what we are looking for um, in today's world, right? So we see that the consumer's behavior is also changing. We see that if you look at these figures, we see that there is at least one online purchase that's made in every 2 months, and the online purchases have been increased by 6 to 10% across all product categories, and these are more influenced by social media now. So we do a lot of shopping by Instagram, for instance, so which was not there in the past, but now we see that it's more influenced by social media like Instagram, and then we see that this has been a rising trend. Yeah. So business model is changing, and companies they're adapting to new ways of working. So innovation is also there. Innovation is being important. Technology is accelerating. The entire world is changing. The global economics and demographics is changing. We are in need. We are in set of needs that we need to address the rapidly growing environment, the rapidly changing market conditions, and we need to respond to them. This is one example, or maybe this is one of my favorite books, where this change is illustrated in a very well manner. It says that why change is needed, how would you adapt to change, and why would you adopt to it. So it tells you the importance of being able to deal with unexpected changes. So if you have read this book, there are four characters, and the cheese is just a metaphor for the things that you want in life. So it could be your work, it could be anything, your happiness or anything. So this is just a metaphor, and when you see that, like if you read this book, or even if you've not read it, you feel comfortable when you're in your comfort zone, right? But what happens to you if somebody tries to pull you or push you into a zone that you've never been before. So I'm sure that you've been in this situation. Like I was there in the situation as well. I used to work in a completely techno environment, and when I suddenly moved into project management, I'm a senior program manager now. But when I moved into project management, there was a kind of discomfort in the beginning. But with time, I realized that the energy was amplified. I was more energetic, I was more enthusiastic. Because if you keep on doing the same work again and again for a couple of years, then you get saturated, you get tired, and you become dull. But if you look for challenges, if you look for new opportunities, then that's how you scale up, right? So you need to adopt to that change, and you need to adapt to the change if you want to succeed. Another example of adopting and adapting to change, Nokia and BlackBerry, they used to be the market leaders when it came to um, telecom, or when it came to communication area, right? But why did their market has gone down now? So why isn't Nokia and BlackBerry there anymore now? So so iPhone or Apple has taken over, right? Because that's when that they realized that the need was different. The need of the customers was changing, and Apple could respond to the kind of change that the customers were looking for. But Nokia and BlackBerry, they remained stagnant, or they remained adamant about the change, and maybe that's the reason why they could not thrive the business. So that's one example. And this is again like again the same with the metaphor. What would you like to be? Would you like to be someone who would detect change early, and then then act accordingly, take quick actions? Or would you want to resist to the change and then let go of your business? So that's all about why would you adopt to change with time, versus the consequences that might come if you do not adapt or adopt to the change. So with this, so what is it that there is some factor that like in times of crisis, some companies are even they're being able to adapt quickly, and they are ensuring their survival. So what is it? What is that factor that is enabling them to do so? Business agility, yes. So what is business agility then? It's an ability of an organization to rapidly respond to change. So be it adapting your product and services according to your customer needs, or adjusting the changes within the business areas itself. So it's an X factor that empowers the teams and the companies to innovate, to satisfy customers and their changing needs, right? So so the need for business agility was there earlier as well, but with COVID-19, this need has been amplified even more. So what are the factors that promotes business agility then? Um, I'm going to talk about these three factors. One of them being understanding your employees' needs. So when we take an example of COVID-19 itself, there are organizations, or many couple of organizations have relooked into the policies to promote health and safety. So health and safety has become a concern for many organizations. Some organizations, they even provided oxygen concentrators in times of urgencies, in times of medical urgencies. So now they've come up with flexible working hours as well. And with this, I think you're understanding what your employees needs are, and you're acting, right? So so that's one of them. Second one is focusing on the emotional agility. So you understand the needs, but do you think that employees are now in a safe hand? They feel psychologically safe to express their fears, or are they engaging themselves themselves in sharing their fears with their peers? Are they seeking any advice? Are they seeking for any emotional support? And is the organization providing them a platform which gives them some kind of emotional support? So that's also one thing to think about, because with the pandemic, we have lost our near and dear ones, and an emotional balance and emotional security is one of the key factors, and also it is one of the key challenges of of bringing you into the office, back to the office again. So focusing on emotional agility of the entire employees is also important. At the same time, promoting a culture of innovation and fail fast. We are running a business, right? So we cannot let go of innovation and failing fast. So so allowing employees to think out of the box, letting them to learn, experiment and fail fast, building a team with learning workers, creating a center of excellence, center of innovation, and creating an agile or creating a learning organization is equally important. So when I talk about these factors, I would also say that there are some challenges that we are facing, like um, while going back to work. So we are so used to working from home, but what are the things that comes into our mind when you say that we need to go to work maybe from tomorrow? So one is, maybe we do not want to we do not we're so used to saving time over commuting. We think that now commuting is a hassle, so maybe that's one of the challenges. Another one is, you might be going to the office, but your near and dear ones, maybe your kid is running her school from home, so you need to think about balancing that as well. um, the other one is, how would your organization ensure your health and safety, be it social distancing, or giving you thermal scanners, or like, how do you ensure that that the safety is in place? At the same time, there might be some people who would be sick, right? Who might be ill. So how would you make sure that the communication is there at a constant and a consistent manner? Because you need to might be doing meetings which are virtual, which are hybrid, which are virtual as in person at the same time, right? So these are the factors that you might think, or your organizations might want to think when you say that you want to go back to office now. So maybe those are some challenges that needs to be addressed. So again, like, how would you create agile organizations which are more fluid then? Because if you look at the example, if the organization is bureaucratic, then like, for example, in the army with the top-down hierarchy, then it's more like a machine, right? And that's not where we would really want to work. But how would you create an organization which is more fluid, where leadership shows directions and enables actions? So there are good examples of organizations which are agile, like Zappos, Spotify, Morningstar. How have they been able to, or how have they succeeded to build teams? Like, where accountability of each individual is high, where teams are self-driven. So I think that's also one thing that we need to think while creating an agile organization. Okay. So what are how do you make an agile organization then? The trust, which is the foundation, of course, but at the same time, the customer centricity is important. It's one of the key pillars. Your network of teams should be there with some shared purpose. Your open communication, transparency should always be there, and your organization should always support innovation and fail fast, the concept of failing fast. With that, when you make an agile organization, when you talk about an agile organization, building an operational efficiency and building a stable backbone is also very important. It's one of the keys as well. So how do you do that then? How do you make sure that the operational efficiency is there in place with three key things? That's the people, the processes, and the technology, right? So here I would say that if you think that a hammer is the solution to your problem, then you'll always say that the nail is the hammer is the solution to your specific problem. Then nail would always be a problem. So we see that organization, they always see that a technology could always be the solution to any kind of problem, which is wrong. So technology cannot be a silver bullet all the time, right? So what you need to start up with is the people. Do you have the right leadership? Do you have the right buy-in from the top leadership? Do you have that culture? Do you have that pool of talent that would help you in creating your agile organization? What is the problem statement there? So when you have that in place, when you have the people in place, when you have the problem statement in place, then comes the processes. How are you going to foster your how are you going to address your problem statement? How would you foster collaboration? How would you foster automation, right? So once that's there, then only comes the technology, which would be a solution. Because a Jira tool, or an IT infrastructure, or delivery pipeline, or apps, that might not always be a solution to your problem, but identifying it with the right set of people, having the right buy-in, with correct processes, then you could have the technology in place to have an operational efficiency for building effective, stable backbone. So you need to have a balance over there. And if the balance is gone with either of these three, then again, the environment is again gone. So do not see the technology as a silver bullet, but rather have a balance of all these three. And now I'll talk about how these strategic agility has come up in action then, by identifying opportunities leading to new blue ocean strategies, blue ocean markets, then scaling to existing products and services to the new normal, and then only by accelerating um, your digital transformation or upgrading it from a change management, um, as a vital necessity, right? So I'll talk about few examples of how these has been implemented across various industries. So here the problem statement in this particular one is the pandemic, of course. And what is the solution? So when we talk about Vodafone, Vodafone, they launched the thermoscanners. I think they were the first ones to launch the thermoscanners, and they enabled social distancing bracelets. So these are the kinds of bracelets which would trigger an alarm if the distance between two employees goes below 2 meters. So they have enabled such social distancing bracelets as well to ensure that to ensure their employees' well-being. So that's one example from Vodafone. The other one from Dyson Electronics. The Dyson Electronics used to make vacuum cleaners in the past, but with COVID-19, they started manufacturing ventilators, and in 10 days, they made around 15,000 ventilators, and they shipped it all across the world. So I think that's how they showed great agility in times of crisis. Another example, Ford. So this was back in 1908. So maybe the word blue ocean or maybe agility was not even there. But then also they showed great agility. I mean, even the word might not have been coined, but that's how they showed that, like the problem statement over here was, they replaced the horse-drawn carriages with with the car that they manufactured. So it was named Model T. It was very durable, it was affordable, and reliable. So it came only in one color, color blue, and they were so popular that these these cars were the main mode of transport, and they replaced horse-drawn carriages, which were the main mode of transport earlier. Again, with another example from Apple as well, when back in 2003, when we were using illegal platform for downloading music, they came with the idea of iTunes, and they created this safe platform which was legal again and affordable, where you could download music at a very reasonable price. So that's how they showed their agility as well. I would talk about UVT Robotics as well. This is a Danish company which was established in 2018, and they make self-driving disinfection robots for hospitals. And now they've been using it for malls and supermarkets, in stores in Thailand, and they're expanding it internationally. So I think this is also a need of an hour, because with COVID-19, we see that we need a lot of disinfection, we need a lot of sanitization, right? So that's how these robots have replaced human, what do you say, human functioning sanitizers and everything with robots, and they're selling it internationally as well. Another example would be from House Party, which is a video chat app. So they found they had a 50 million sign up in just in the month of March itself. So only in 1 month they had 50 million sign up, and what they did is they combined the video chatting application with games, and they started giving premium games free of cost. Sorry, they started giving basic games free of cost, and only premium games were charged. So, and that's how they had a million, like a 50 million sign up just in 1 month. So I think these are how, like, like, this is how people have shown great agility, or I mean organizations have shown great agility during times of crisis, or even before that, right? I think I've already talked about this in the earlier slide as well. So about the top challenges while returning to workforce, we've said that, okay, now these organizations have adopted to so many things. But again, like I said, like I've already mentioned this in the earlier slide, so I'm not going to talk about it anymore. But I would conclude this presentation by saying that yes, organizations and we are in dire need to discover and leverage new ways of working, new ways of implementing speed and agility. So it's there. We require sustained commitment to developing higher levels of organizational readiness, flexibility, and resilience, which should be supported by the people, the processes, the principles that would guide the organization and that would support them to successfully adapt and to achieve strong performances in times of crisis. And we see that the need for speed and the needs for integrating them with agility would be amplified in the days to come. So that's all for today. Yeah, thank you. I think we are okay to take questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Abhigya. And guys, if you have any questions, request you to post it on the chat window. So it was a insightful session, Abhigya. We could see that you, from the morning, what all we have talking about, learning agility, business agility, roles, and all. You have clearly covered it and just shared the very great uh, examples where how it is impacting the market, how it has been impacting the overall working environment. Even though that we thanks Abhigya on behalf of Agile Network India community.